Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you decided to join me. My name is Stacey and I'm an infidelity recovery coach, and I specialize in helping women who have had an affair heal from the heartbreak of their affair, gain clarity, and learn how to heal themselves. So if you have any questions, look in the box down below. Let's get into today's video, which is 3 tips to make you less vulnerable to an affair. So I did get this question because I often talk about attachment styles, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but I wanted to give you guys some insights, some tips on how to become less vulnerable, which when I go through them, you can see that these things have actually made you vulnerable to infidelity. So we're going to learn how to work on those and change that a little bit. So the first one is to stop being critical in your thinking towards your spouse. So what that looks like is maybe they haven't taken the garbage out, or maybe you guys can't come to agreement on a certain issue. Maybe it's a fight, or maybe it's none of those things. Maybe you just want to spend time with them, but you don't have time. Neither one of you guys have time. So it's becoming an issue and there's been a conflict. So in your mind, you start talking bad about them to yourself. Like, oh my gosh, I just don't like you. What's wrong with you? You're terrible. You're an awful husband. Or I can't believe you did that, and then it can get down to, I don't like the way you look, or stop chewing so loud, and really those are just surface things, and it goes deeper than that. But each time we say those things about our spouse, we're putting them in a negative association category in our brain, which is going to cause us to pull away from them and not be open and receptive to love or anything like that from them, which causes us to become bitter and resentful in our heart, and actually stops the flow of love. And then it just builds up over time, and we keep building up this wall, and it just causes a disconnect. So we want to stop doing that. We want to become mindful of when we're being critical about our spouse to ourselves first off. The second one is lack of boundaries. A lot of times we don't have a lot of boundaries when it comes to, maybe people we work with or people at the gym, that kind of thing, especially if we're attracted to them. We, might say, hey, flirting is okay, and you might cross the line a little bit when it comes to flirting. And all of those things you could start flirting, and you could start imagining things in your mind about that person, and before you know it, you're in an affair. And it happens so quickly because it captivates your emotions. So you want to be more aware of yourself and set appropriate boundaries. Like if you're working in an office, or if you're working for a doctor or anything, don't go have lunch with them alone. Don't meet for drinks after work alone. Don't be careful of what you do on social media if you have to follow each other. Don't compliment each other. Like, put up the boundaries, because a lot of times we're not aware that we're already vulnerable, and infidelity just sneaks up on us just out of anywhere, out of anywhere, and we just fall into the pit, and we don't really know what happened. We can't trace it back, but setting up more appropriate boundaries will definitely help us in the long run, especially if we have to travel for work, with our boss or another coworker. Then we want to have the correct boundaries. We want to make sure that we are, prepared, like, hey, someone's coming with me, or, I'm going to not put myself in certain situations, especially if I know I have an attraction for this person. Number 3, this is the root. This is the main thing that I always talk about, and I help my clients with, and we get through this, because this is what's going to prevent infidelity. And if you can go back and get yourself to a place of, I'm not looking for external validation. I'm not looking for someone else to meet my needs, because I know how to go to God for what I need, and I know how to get that from myself. Now I become more content. This is what we want, and this is what prevents us from having an affair. The root cause is an attachment style. So if you have an insecure attachment style and you start working on that childhood trauma, working on those core wounds, like reprogramming your mind, and you start to become more content and more peaceful, and you learn how to communicate, you learn how to become aware of your needs and what your thinking process is, and you heal all of that stuff, then you're not going to go to other people. You're not going to seek out other people for what you need. And it won't make you won't be vulnerable anymore. Like, your perspective will completely change on infidelity because you'll see it for what it is. It's not just this happy place and it's butterflies and rainbows all the time. It's not that. I married my affair partner, and I could tell you 10 years later, I was in the same boat of being discontent, but I was discontent with myself. If I'm discontent with myself, I'm going to be discontent with my spouse too. So it starts from within. There's a problem. You know, people might paint infidelity and marrying your affair partner as the most beautiful thing, and we're in love and this is great and all of that. And it might be good for a little while, but you're going to come to that place where you will get triggered in that relationship, and whatever attachment style you have comes with a negative coping behavior. And when that thinking system kicks in, or it's triggered and it's activated, you're going to respond in a negative way. And that negative way is going to cause problems in your marriage. So it's going to come back around sometime, at some point, okay? So it's so important, if you want to be less vulnerable to an affair, the attachment style, working on that, healing that, is your number one, in my opinion. Of course, with the other things that goes along with it, but all of the other things tie into the attachment style because they are an overflow from that root cause of why we seek that validation. So I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions, leave it down below. If you'd like to work with me, if you're struggling to end your affair, or you're struggling to heal from your affair partner and you're heartbroken, sign up with me, schedule an appointment, and I can help take you through those steps so that you won't get stuck in complicated grief. You will move through those phases and you will heal from that affair. And of course, if you're working with me, we work on healing our attachment style. That's very important because we don't want you to get back into this situation again. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you next time.